Speaking of that, Settle the Wreckage versus Supreme Verdict. Talking about that earlier. Let's go ahead and see where Ben Nilkolich is at this weekend. He is 2 Settle, 1 Supreme Verdict. So that's very similar to the Purcell list.
Playing a Peak in the main deck and a Hieroglyphic Illumination.
This just might be the same list as Luke Purcell. Actually.
Looks like we are not playing Serum Visions.
No, we are not.
He doesn't like it. He's not a Serum Visions fan.
You know, going back here, neither was Luke Purcell. Yeah, this is the same 75. They may have worked on this together. 1 Peak, 1 Hieroglyphic was the tip-off. But yeah, you're right. There are no copies of Serum Visions in this deck.
I admire the cutting of Serum Visions. It's a player who has reluctantly cast many copies.
Well, what they've done is when you look at cards that are sorcery speed in his deck. So he's got 35 spells. He has 2 Teferi, 2 Jace, 1 Supreme Verdict, 2 Search for Azcanta, and 28 instants, if you count Snapcaster Mage. And in that regard, Serum Visions just adds more sorceries to the deck.
Yeah, it's something that you're never really going to Snapcast back.
That is something we noticed, especially when you watch that last game with Sukenik, how, yeah, you really can't wait around to, in that matchup, ever Snapcast a Serum Visions.
Yeah.
All right. Going to add a minute to the clock here. There was a time extension, so we've incorporated that. Clock right now at 13:40 is correct for the game 3.
Not a ton of time for a third game in a matchup like this, though they can certainly finish a game.
Looks like game 2 post-board went to Jonathan Orr, so Nilkolich will be on the play here for game number 3.
And it looked like there was a mulligan and a scry to start things off.
Yeah, Nilkolich is on 6 cards here, whereas Orr's on 7. Against Jund, that can be pretty rough. Early on, they're all about the 2-for-1.
Right, discard spell's pretty effective. Interesting turn 1 play for Orr. He's leading on his 1 sideboard Grim Lavamancer.
Yeah, I
figure this to be a pretty weak matchup for that card, but it does at least attack.
Yeah, I mean, I think it may earn its keep this game. We'll have to see. Attacks on in, turn 2 here for Jonathan.
I'm going to check this bingo square for an expedition on the battlefield. Ooh. The Blood Crypt.
Peek from Nilkolich. He'll look at the hand. It's going to be Scavenging Ooze anyway. Hand is Kolaghan's Command, land 3, Tarmogoyf, Liliana, 2nd Scavenging Ooze. And he has elected, in the interest of time, rather than letting Ben write down the hand, he's just going to play the known cards face up.
Yeah, and you can tell by the pacing, he is concerned about time and wants to make sure that they finish this one. Draws on the first day of competition are not good.
Nilkolich passes. We go back over to Jonathan Orr. Play land 3. It's Blackcleave Cliffs. Here's an attack for 3. He's trying to send Nilkolich down to 16. It'll move on in. See whether Lily is an attempt. That on curve, that would be the play.
Looked like there was a confirmation of card types in graveyard here. He's considering the Tarmogoyf. You don't want to walk that one into a lightning bolt if you don't have to.
Looks like he's just going to go for a 2nd Scavenging Ooze, and Ben Nilkolich uses Field of Ruin.
Hits the only green source for Orr, though that does allow him to find an untapped forest here.
Yeah, it refreshes his green mana.
Can start exiling that Peak.
If he does that, his future Tarmogoyf will shrink. I don't know if that's a concern.
Yeah, that is worth noting. You can push that Field of Ruin as much as it matters for future Search for Azcantas, though not a huge issue. It does weaken Logic Knot. That probably matters more.
See if there's a Supreme Verdict for Nilkolich. Doesn't look like it. He does have Lightning Helix, Path to Exile, Cryptic Command, Search for Azcanta, and land 5. So he will just make Search.
Yeah, that's good tools for slowing Jonathan down, and then once that Tarmogoyf comes back down, he has Supreme Verdict and Cryptic Command to cover anything else.
Now swing for 5 from Orr. This will put Nilkolich to 9. Does that get his Lightning Helix? It does. Scavenging Ooze is down.
Seems like a good window for Orr to go for that Liliana of the Veil.
Yep, Nilkolich up to 17 and then back down to 14. So treads water there with the Lightning Helix. And I agree, would like to see the Liliana. Now the worry from Orr is that Nilkolich, I think, untaps into Fairies.
That would be a concern.
And it's going to be Tarmogoyf instead from Orr.
Playing a little bit into Nikolich's hand there.
Well, he doesn't have the Verdict just yet, I don't think. He's got Electrolyze, Cryptic Command, and Path to Exile. Tops what appears to be another Electrolyze. So we'll go ahead and shoot down Scavenging Ooze while Jonathan's tapped off green mana. Heads up play.
Now Nilkolich is going to be tapped out of any counter spells, so the Liliana is still pretty reasonable here.
Right. Nilkolich was hoping to hit another land. He did not. And with 2 cards, just the Liliana and the Colon's Command, Nilkolich says, I can write those 2 down. Pick up your hand.
I was having a good time watching Orr reposition the cards in his hand face up.
Yeah.
Where we knew some of them. The pushing the face up Liliana to the front of the hand was nice.
A swing and a Path to Exile on the Tarmogoyf. So Nilkolich keeping the board clean here. At some point, I feel like Jonathan has to go for this Liliana, but we'll see when it is, though. And here we go, Liliana of the Veil. It's going to resolve. +1, both players discard. Land and Logic Knot. It's the 5th card in the graveyard for Nilkolich. As he builds his way up toward Azcanta. And looks like he's going to try to transform it here. Upkeep. 1/1 with Electrolyze. Lavamancer will shoot Nilkolich to 12, but this allows Nilkolich to mill and transform. But, so he draws off Electrolyze. Now here's the search trigger. Mill, transform, good to go.
Yeah, Scalding Tarn, pretty easy one to put in the bin there.
Yeah, it would have had to been a pretty good card for him to not bin it with the way he played that turn.
Right, especially in the face of Liliana of the Veil. There's not too much you really care about.
Yeah, you just want to transform this because then it won't, like, discard won't matter. We see Lightning Bolt, Cryptic Command,
timely reinforcements
from Inquisition of Kozilek. But, yeah, Azcanta just playing a lot of value here, right? You can't really Liliana your opponent out when they have Azcanta going. They'll just end step. Eventually what happens is he'll plus. Nilkolich will say, all right, Nilkolich might have an empty hand. He'll say, end step, activate Azcanta, find Teferi, untap, cast Teferi, and then just like, what did you even do?
Right. This was a nice sequence here, though, as Orr was able to combine that discard spell, activating the Liliana and Kolaghan's Command to get all 3 of those cards out of Nikolich's hand.
And that's real nice. Yeah.
It does cost a lot of mana to activate Azcanta the Sunken Rune.
What Nilkolich will do is activate Colonnade and attack away the Liliana. So right now it's just Scavenging Ooze with Orr's Scavenging Ooze versus Nikolich's Azcanta. It's going to be close.
There are some creatures in the graveyard, so the Ooze, it does hit for some good damage. So Orr's still very light on green mana. Looks like still just the 1 green source.
And Nilkolich draws Teferi, tucks away the Scavenging Ooze and says, go. Well, even nicer than a canting into Teferi is just drawing it. John draws, finds nothing, and now Nilkolich in control draws an extra card. Teferi goes up to 2. Activates Azcanta because he can untap and activate it a second time. Yeah, you might know that one from Standard.
That these 2 cards specifically, Azcanta the Sunken Rune and Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, big game changers in this matchup in favor of the Jeskai control deck, and you see them here running away with the game.
Yeah. So he finds, well, let's get another card off the Azcanta. He already got a Lightning Bolt off it. Now he gets Hieroglyphic Illumination off it.
That's like finding 2 cards.
Yeah, I often have signed in Standard. Once I have Azcanta going, when I draw a Hyro, I just don't even want to cast it anymore because I'm just like, I have too many cards now. But Ben will. He'll draw 2.
Disagrees.
Well, what I do like about it is that it draws you lands.
It synergizes with the untapping lands as well.
Yeah, well, when you Azcanta too much, you start flooding on non-land cards, so then Hyro draws you the lands.
Well, Lightning Bolt in your deck does make it a little bit easier in Modern.
That's true. You can actually cast your cards.
Right.
Yeah, and at this point, Ben is just pulling ahead too quickly. We see Vendilion Click here.
Abrupt Decay, I think, is the other card.
Yeah.
And Nilkolich isn't even going to mess with it.
And what Ben is doing is he's showing his own hand.
There's an Inquisition being cast on the other side. The Vendilion Click was in response.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So, Logic Knot, Path to Exile, Lightning Bolt, a card that's in the graveyard in the land. That card in the graveyard has a Snapcaster Mage. Makes sense.
Yeah, the card that represents all of these.
Yeah, here is Scavenging Ooze. There is only one green mana ups. Either way, Ben Nilkolich will Logic Knot it. He needs to close fast with 5 minutes. He wants to save those Lightning Bolts for Jonathan's face. Makes sense. Draws Glacial Fortress. Teferi draws a card. Draws Field of Ruin. He'll play Field of Ruin. That's good against Raging Ravine. Then go ahead and take care of Raging Ravine. Gets a basic land. I imagine activates as Kanta. Yeah, still has 6 lands, so we can do the double activation with that.
He's doing all right.
Yeah, and you can also tell by the speed with which he's doing this that Nilkolich has done. He's been here before. Last card gone, Abrupt Decay shoots down Vendilion Click. Nilkolich actually just going to go ahead and untap 2 lands, does not activate as Kanta just there. Jonathan off the top says, we don't need to do this anymore, man. You got it. Ben Nilkolich, Jeskai 4-0, he's your winner.
Yep, no Serum Visions, no